Hello grapplers and welcome to a new video. Sagat has arrived and everyone is really confused about how strong this guy is. Even Punk, who won a tournament, an S tournament, he feels the character is just weird. He feels too strong sometimes, too weak sometimes, and I've seen other players, other Sagat mains from the past, being very disappointed. Where do I stand? I'm gonna do my best. I honestly, if you're looking for an answer to whether Sagat is strong, weak, high tier, low tier, this is not the video. I don't think I'm gonna be able to answer that until I put more hours into this guy. I think his animations, not necessarily his model. There's something about his model I can't quite figure out yet, but there's something about his model I don't like, but his animations are just fantastic. You do feel the punches, you do feel that elbow. There's a little bit of a weird thing with his CA, like it moves way too fast between transitions of attacks. His corner carry is excellent. If you get like a combo like this, I'm just gonna show you a very basic combo. Excellent corner carry, and you see that this is plus 42. That means you have a safe jump. You don't even need to go into that extension. You can just end a combo like this. Safe jump 2. His damage is high. I'm gonna go a little bit in depth later about his damage, but overall I would say his damage is high when you go into super level 1 or 3. Like this one. This is pretty easy. Almost 3k. You can also do this. And even the easy combos are kinda really strong for this guy. 4.5, that's not even optimal. I'm gonna talk about the optimal combos later. Now let's go into the bad things, or the things I feel don't work for this guy. His movement is slow. He walks back slow, moves forwards a little bit better, but walks back slow. And forward dash and back dashes are 23 frames, the slowest in the game. That is really pretty painful because every time you get a knockdown, you might need to do a tiger knee, light one in some specific cases, the medium one. Jumping is also very, very slow. The anti-air game is just weird. He has the light DP, 5 frames, and then you immediately jump to 10 frames for the medium one. This already creates an issue. It's a very slow DP. And then heavy is 18 frames. Clearly heavy is for combos. You're not gonna use it for anti-airing with a few small exceptions like Dalsim or maybe Ed and Honda neutral jumping with a button. And you do have other options. You have back heavy punch and you have 2 air-to-airs that juggle. Jumping medium punch and jumping heavy kick. And I guess you can add forward heavy kick depending on the jump. What's the issue here? This is slow. It's very hard for you to jump with them medium punch like other characters or jump heavy kick. So that's basically a very selected anti-air for things like Devil's Reverse or something like Chun-Li or Rashid trying to escape the corner. That leaves you with back heavy punch or the DPs. The back heavy punch is divided into 2 groups of frames, 2 and 5. This is because whenever you go for the move, you'll see that the move is going. You have 2 active frames over here. These are for combos. And then the later frames, there's a pause without anything. And then boom, the later frames are the anti-air ones. And you'll see that same as DP, light DP at least, this is extremely vertical. And if you're curious, for heavy kick moves a ton. Look at the distance. DP is also a situational anti-air because if they jump really close to you, light DP is fine. If they jump from that range and they don't press a button and you go for the light DP, you're gonna whiff. In certain scenarios, like in the corner, you have to anti-air very carefully. In some cases, you have to go for the medium DP, and this is very hard to get. You have to always be careful with the kind of jump the opponent is going for. That's why you'll see so many Sagat players not anti-airing at all, because at the point when someone is jumping forwards, they have to decide between all of these anti-airs, so they're gonna just block it or just parrying. The Oki of light DP and medium DP is pretty good in the corner. I would say in the corner he's pretty good. His supers are very slow and they're not that flexible. Super low one, 13 frames, fully invincible to strikes, not fireballs of course. However, since this is a fireball, if someone goes for a really slow one or you catch a start of a fireball, maybe you can punish with this thing. 13 frames. Super level 2, 10 frames. Super level 3. You might think super level 2 having all of those variables is pretty strong, but it actually isn't. If you combo, let's say I'm gonna go for a very simple combo. Boom. The regular super. This is the strongest one, 3727. Now this is the problem. Assuming you have super level 2, is it really that significant to go for that damage? The problem with super level 2 is that super level 3 exists. That's the thing. You might just wait for your super level 3 to build instead of using your super level 2. And you're actually plus after super level 3. And if you decide to go for the other variables, they don't work as much. Because, for example, the back throw, you're gonna be plus 7, no Oki here. Sagat has such a significant corner carry that you might as well, instead of switching to the other side of the screen, you might as well just take the opponent to the other side with a combo and actually do damage. You have another one that you can just get by holding forwards, but again, you might use that super to get corner carry, but your damage is going to be so low that it's not even worth it. And his corner carry is already pretty good, so there's really not much of a reason to go for that specific one. If you're in the corner, you want to go for a fancy combo, you have way fancier combos and way more damaging. The one that gives you Oki. And while the Oki is good, he has pretty decent Oki from Tiger Knee, even DP in the corner. Why would you go for this one specifically if you can just go for a combo that deals damage, doesn't use your super, and gives you Oki compared to this one, which is plus 19? That means most of his options are going to include Drive Rush, with a few very specific ones like Overhead, I guess. But other than that, you have to Drive Rush, so you're spending more meter for Oki after your super level 2. So that makes that super a little bit underwhelming. It's more likely that you're gonna go for just the raw one, the one that deals the most damage, because damage is what you want. They are gonna work for combos, but they're not those flexible supers that other characters have for pressure. Even though this one has invincibility to Fireball, the super level 2, and the super level 3, you're likely not gonna use them that much in the Fireball War because you want to save the super level 3 for the big damage. He doesn't have a cancelable crouching medium kick. And this by itself makes Sagat a way different character. He's more in line with a character like Guile, who also doesn't have a crouching medium kick. The difference being is that this crouching medium kick is pretty bad for the kind of character Sagat is. It has a really good hitbox hurtbox. That's fantastic. But the thing is, you don't get much out of this. Even if you get something like a counter hit, you're not in range to do anything. Punish counter, same thing. If you poke someone from here, that's plus 8, you have nothing. Nothing reaches. At least nothing that can use those 8 frames. Of course, you can use standing K punch, but that is 15 frames. Basically, the use of that move is to poke here and there, but mostly Drive Rush. This is the point. Drive Rushing and B plus 8, so you can go into a crouching medium punch, or a standing light kick sometimes, depending on range. Crouching light kick, it has a tendency to make the rest of your buttons whiff. And then you have sweep, which is a very strange sweep. It doesn't have the range you might expect for this kind of guy. Punishable, of course, on block, minus 12 on block. There are some situations where you just cannot punish sweeps with your own sweep. Ken or Akuma, those characters that can sweep the sweep. This is not the case, and he even has problems with other space sweeps. If you don't go for this one, you have to go for standing medium kick. You'll know that you'll be in a position where sweeps are not gonna be easily punished. And the best low by far, although slow, is forward light kick. This one is pretty freaking good. If you're close to the opponent when you hit them, you can throw them, you're plus 3, so that's a frame trap. Counter hit, again, if you're close, that's plus 5, that means you can convert especially into standing light punch, you can convert into medium DP or light fireball. And punish counter, plus 7. That means, again, if you're close and you already move forward, so very likely you'll be, you can do crouching medium punch. This creates a whole different issue, which is that Sagat cannot open people up that easily. People don't fear the lows of Sagat. That means they will constantly be walking back. And that's an issue because walking back can make all of your buttons whiff. And your Tiger Knee, although it's pretty decent, it's on the slow side. They can react with the eye against it unless you go for a meaty Tiger Knee. And the final really bad thing, at least in my notes at the moment, is he's meter hungry. I showed you the combo with corner carry, right? But probably eagle-eyed players recognize that I'm using 4 dry meters for this, which is extremely high. 4 dry meters, sure, the Oki is fantastic and I get the corner carry, but that's a lot of meter. Every single of his combos, even the optimal ones, use a lot of dry meter. At the very least 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 5, depending on the combo. His drive rushes for combos or DRCs, he also requires the OD moves. That move is pretty important for his toolkit. Same with this one. And what about OD Tiger Knee? very significant too, or the OD Tiger Nexus. And not only his issues that he requires a lot of dry meter, his issues that he doesn't build dry meter that often. The thing I mentioned before, people back walking, you're mostly going to be throwing fireballs. You're going to be building them more meter than you recovering the dry meter. He's always in positions where you have to think, really think, should I go for that DRC? Because I might not recover my dry meter. Or should I go for that combo? That's the reason why super level 3 is so important for this guy. Because if you go for the optimal combos, 3 dry meters, 4 dry meters, at least you're going to recover something. Finally, we can go into the weird. These are the parts where I'm not really sure. I honestly don't know. I mentioned the fireball game very briefly. I'm confused about how they built his fireball game. We already knew he was not going to have the 6 speeds of the Tiger Shot. They reduced that significantly. The way they decided to go for that is interesting. The low Tiger Shot, I think we can just all agree it sucks. 50 frames of recovery, people can jump this on reaction, punish you, it's pretty bad. Then you have the OD low at 12 frames. Most of the time when you cancel into it, you're gonna be safe at -1. You're using your dry meter, but at least you're safe. I think this fireball in the grand scheme of things work. Like if you really think, oh, this on paper makes a lot of sense. Standing like it has a too far. You can make it 0, but if you're close, of course. It also hits twice. It doesn't break the eye. It breaks certain 2 hitting fireballs, but you're gonna be losing to 3 hitting fireballs like the Sonic Blade, OD, you're gonna lose to that. Or Ryu going for the Tenjin Hadouken, just to give you an example. This is mostly your fireball to keep the opponent in check from here when you want them to block the fireball. And even though you can juggle into the sweep if you're in the corner, it's still low damage. Then you have the medium one, and obviously you can dodge the highs. But this one is also unique in the sense that this is always plus, and plus enough for you to get frame traps. You can get something like this, and you're gonna be +3. That means you can frame trap with standing medium punch. That creates a very unique position because this is the fireball you're gonna use to bait people into jumping or doing something, because you recover way faster, so you can buffer your DP after very easily. A very unique fireball. It's mostly like a poke, if you really think about it, if you're up close. And then you have the heavy one, the one that actually is gonna be probably the most used in the fireball war. That means it's faster than this one, and fastest in every single sense. I mean, in terms of speed, this is a pretty fast hitting fireball. You might alternate between the medium high and the fast high, way more than the low, because the low doesn't give you much. It's not the one that's gonna keep them in place. And if you want to do that, you have to use meter. And then you have the other one, mid-hitting one that is 21 frames, which is mostly a combo tool. This has a gap even from heavies on block, like this one. That's not real, unless the opponent is in burnout. So they can always DP it, which is a difference with this one. Overall, this is pretty balanced. The thing is, I'm not really sure this is the right way for Street Fighter 6. Because people are gonna be walking and crouching if you go for this 2. If you use this one that is 21 frames, and basically they have nothing to fear, they just block it and keep walking. If you want them to stop walking forwards, you have to use the low one, which is the one that is the slowest. Or if you want to really keep them in place, you have to use the OD one, assuming they don't jump. I really don't know. The way I'm using my fireballs at the moment is just, if I create enough knockdown and I can't be bothered to use a Tiger Knee, I will use my heavy, because I just wanted to know that I'm willing to use my fireballs. That's the reason I feel he's not necessarily a zoner, because people don't fear this fireball. Probably the best combination would be to use this one into the medium one if you want to keep them in place, because you'll see that if they try to jump, vertical jump, you'll see that they can't because they're stuck there. So maybe that's the best combination. And of course, he has some really cool combos where you can get a few of these things into super level 1, 2, or 3. So doing this combo never gets old. It's just cool. And hitting someone from here with a super level 1 is kind of funny. His driver, she's fine. I think he's on the fast side for the kind of character he is. The issue is frames. And here we're gonna go into a very strange conversation, I guess. Standing medium punch is +2. Fantastic. You can definitely bother people like this. You might have seen Punk doing this constantly. That's great. But the reward is not necessarily the best. If you hit someone with that standing medium punch, assuming they don't press any buttons, you're gonna get a +6. And that +6 is basically standing light punch ATP. The more you abuse this button, the farther you are, because if you really want to keep hitting people with this thing, you have to keep walking forwards. Walking forwards opens you up for a button. If you don't want to do that, you need to just press it twice, like this, which is fine, you can do it, but then you're gonna be kind of far for a lot of your buttons, with the exception of standing leg kick, which in this case loses to 4 frames. Crouching medium punch is 7 frames. It's a very decent button for starting, stopping dry brushes and other things, but overall his range is not necessarily the best for this button. You might have to use a standing leg kick, which works like Zangief. It's -4, but it has 7 framer that can be cancelled into things, DRC even. But sometimes you're gonna be in a situation where nothing will help you and you will not be able to convert into anything. For example, you hit someone with 2 standing medium punches and they block those 2, you're not moving forwards. And then you decide to frame trap with a standing light punch or crouching light punches and you're gonna get this. +6, nothing you can do. +7, nothing you can do. That is not that weird for Sagat. I know I'm pointing out something very specific, but this is pretty often the case with this guy. He can be in situations where he's gonna be +8, nowhere in range, +9, and when he is in range, you have to quickly decide what you want to use. I mentioned getting the hit of crouching medium kick. This is another example. Back heavy punch only works if you're extremely close. If that's not the case, you whiff this. So immediately you have to recognize, oh, am I close enough for crouching medium punch or standing light kick? Which makes this character very technical in that sense, but also extremely annoying. I haven't really checked how many frames you have to hit confirm. I feel you don't have that many. You mostly have to commit to the second part, which is -8. The hit confirming target combo is mostly crouching medium punch, crouching heavy, or a standing heavy punch. And this one only works in punch counter scenarios. You have a 4 framer, 5, 5, 7. Those are your lights. Then medium, 6 frames. 7 frames, and then you immediately jump to 9 frames with the crouching medium kick, 2 11 framers, or 3 if you count sweep, 11 frames, 11 frames, 11 frames. Well, I forgot standing heavy kick, 10 frames, but this is mostly a combo tool. This has 2 hits, and the second hit with some crouchers. Also, the first hit and second hits are cancelable into specials, but only the first hit allows you to cancel into really strong Tiger Nexus. And then you jump into forward heavy kick at 16 frames, and of course, standing heavy punch at 15 frames. So there's a few gaps in terms of frames, which is fine. I mean, that's how the character is built. The thing is, sometimes his frames don't allow him to really do something strong. It's hard to describe without giving you examples, but this is mostly an overview of Sagat. I'm gonna make a guide with things that are more in-depth about his frames. And talking about frames, we also have to consider the range. Your best frames and your best pokes don't cancel into anything. Crouching medium kick, the low I mentioned, good hitbox, doesn't cancel into anything. Standing medium kick only has a target combo. And standing heavy punch, same thing, it only has a target combo. So if you want to really cancel into something from a poke, you have to use crouching heavy punch, which has less range than standing medium kick. But this button also has its own set of issues. For example, crouching heavy punch into the heavy version of Tiger Nexus, not a real block string. It's not even a real combo on hit. This has to be a punish counter. If you want this to be a real combo, you have to use the OD. Unless you whiff punish, of course. If you get this on block and you want to continue the pressure, you have to use a fireball that has a gap, a fireball that doesn't have a gap, but you're gonna be 0 or minus, and that's mostly it. You can go into a Tiger Knee that can be 0, plus if they're crouching, but your options are really limited. You don't have the best block strings unless the opponent is in burnout. That's very important to recognize. And that leaves this button as the only really long whiff punisher you have with which can cancel into stuff. Because this one, you will whiff this one. His recovery frames and his only crouching medium punch that is flexible enough to be used is 11 frames. To be fair, standing medium kick target combo and standing heavy punch target combos give you Oki in the corner, so it's not terrible. In the open, you're gonna send them flying, and what are you gonna do here? +39. Remember that your dash is not really that good. If you want to use your light Tiger Knee, you're gonna be -3, and you're gonna recover the distance. Other than that, what are you gonna do? Fireball? You can, but should you? So I don't know about his poking. And you need to defend and use your poking as a defensive tool. That leaves you with a crouching light punch and a standing light kick because this thing is 5 frames. It's not gonna help you. They're not the best at that. And sure, if you get the standing light kick, you can buffer at least the low OD Tiger shot. But again, this goes back to what I mentioned about being meter hungry with this guy. So it's weird. His poking game, I don't think it's bad, but I'm confused. Is this strong? Is this weak? The same thing with the pressure. I mentioned this being a really strong tool for pressure, but what else do you have for pressure? Crouching medium punch doesn't block string normally into the medium Tiger Nexus. It has to be the light one. But the light one can whiff. Lights don't go into the light one either, at least not on block. So this has a gap. And from this, the Tiger Nexus, you can go into 3 different sequences. This one, which is +4, sends the opponent flying, combo in the corner. This one, -5 +3. And the final one, the slow one, +2. A crouching jab beats 2 of your options. That one and the super slow one. If you go for the overhead, you stop them. Now what's the issue here? If you go for any of your options, the opponent can go for a reversal with invincibility, DP or super. There's nothing you can do about it. And the only way for you to not be hit by that, you'll see that boom, you get hit, is for you to stop the move altogether and be -5. This is a very balanced move. This is what Jinrai should be. It's always a risk for you. And it's not a huge risk, high reward either. If you see them crouching, you don't know if they're gonna remain crouching and just do the down forward for the DP, assuming they have a DP, or if they're just like this, buffering like crazy and then going to a super. The Tiger Nexus actually has some really cool stuff attached to it, but they're so hard to get. If you get a counter hit Tiger Nexus like this, and you go into the overhead, you'll see that you bounce them, and you can get supers here, or DP. The optimal combos for this guy already have better routes. So why would you go for something like this? And I mentioned that this doesn't block string into the heavy, which is the one that is -3. So that means if you want to use this thing and go for that -3 and you don't know if they're blocking or not, you have to use the OD. 2 drive meters for that -3, and I guess from that you can go into the overhead or any of the other follow-ups. It's a great combo tool though. If you actually get the 2 hits, you can get the OD one, or if you get 1 hit of the standing heavy kick, you can get into the heavy one. So it's actually pretty good if you get the combo, because you have some very, very simple combos with that thing. So as a combo tool is great. As a pressure tool, I don't know. His pressure is already strange, as I mentioned. You have a lot of gaps. That being said, the elephant in the room, I only briefly mentioned this, but if you have the opponent in burnout, oof baby. You can do something like this. If you have it in the corner, you can really go nuts with this thing. That is just insane. And if they don't know the matchup and they're crouching, if they're crouching and they don't know the matchup, you can go for this, which is +8. That means you can combo into the crouching medium punch. So this is basically a loop. That being said, that only works if they're crouching. If they are standing and you go for this, you're gonna be -1. There's nothing that crazy. If you want to kinda reproduce this situation, you need to use the OD. And with the OD, you are +2. It is guaranteed to do something like this. And here you are +3. You have some sequences that are really, really nutty, and they can basically destroy the health of the opponent if they're in burnout. You need to take them to burnout though. And the final thing I want to mention before I forget is that he has some weird combos. Probably at this point you've gone to the advanced combos and you've seen some very specific drivers back heavy punch. How do I get it? Well, the pro tip if you want to do it, and this is going to be important because I have to mention the back heavy punch, is that you have to delay the driver's back heavy punch. I think the combo is something like this. Yeah. Something like that. That is actually the basis of the most optimal combo for Sagat. I've been saying Sagat. Is it Sagat? We always call him Sagat. Sagat? Sagat, right? Doing that driver's back heavy punch is pretty complicated. However, it is pretty much mandatory to know that combo for the highest damaging options you have. But not necessarily going into the heavy DP. You actually have to go into the heavy Tiger Knee. And this creates another issue. I'm going to do a guide about for Sagat, so I'm going to just go very in-depth about this in the future. But he has 2 Tiger Knees when you cancel from back heavy punch. The heavy Tiger Knee that sends them flying and you can go into the light DP. And the Tiger Knee that actually gives you a better juggle into medium DP. They're not really easy to recognize, and sometimes you're gonna confuse them. See that the way they juggle is closer to you compared to the other one where they're just flying away? But this is really, really important, especially in combos in the corner, for example. If you want to go for this one, I whiffed my medium DP because that was not the perfect Tiger Knee. That is the right one. That being said, there's also some weird stuff about his combos in general where there are some routes that don't seem to do as much damage, but they do. Let me give you a very specific example. 3,540. He has a target combo that is crouching medium punch and heavy kick. So now I'm gonna go for a combo into DRC. And I do less damage, because of course I'm DRCing. Why would you DRC if you can just go for that one then? You can get this combo for forward heavy kick. But you'll see that I'm missing my crouching medium punch. That means I need to do a micro step between the forward heavy kick and the back heavy punch. There you go. And that's only a few of the weird things about this character where certain routes seem to combo into something, but they don't. If you want my pro tip right now, if you want an easy conversion, just go always into the Tiger Nexus from the standing heavy kick. This is the very easy one, it combos into anything. Back heavy punch, it combos, as you know, into anything. You can do this, fantastic. What if you want to do back heavy punch into medium fireball? I'm whiffing. That's weird. What happens if I delay my medium fireball if I'm this close to the opponent? Oh, now I connect. That already creates an issue. When do you have to delay your fireball, or where do you have to go for the regular one? He has some really complicated stuff, even though he doesn't have his Kara. I forgot to mention that he doesn't have Karas. Any kind of Kara. That might be the reason why the DP is so slow. With all this being said, is Sagat good? I'm not really sure. I mean, the bad things are really bad. Not having really strong lows is an issue. And this bleeds into the entirety of the game plan of Sagat. But he has good damage. But what happens if they play defensive and they throw fireballs? How do you fight the fireball war? Were you slow to 14 framer? Or you're only with your 12 framer that is fast? Do you use your medium one into the low one? Or the medium one into the super strong 21 framer? Let's say the poke war is over here. You're not throwing fireballs. It's just pokes, pokes, pokes. What do you use? Crouching heavy punch and you risk yourself for an 11 framer that might whiff? Do you use something safer, but with less range? Recovers in 17 frames? Do you use your standing heavy punch that only has a target combo? What happens if the opponent is poking you with lows? How do you respond to that? What happens if they space their sweep? How do you punish that? Are you gonna go for a minus 12 that you don't have? With the exception of the low fireball, are you gonna punish a low with an OD low fireball? You're gonna waste 2 drive meters for that? But you're gonna do high damage. So maybe you can get just one combo and that combo is gonna do like 6k. If you really want to go for the CA version and you do the actual optimal one, it's like 6.6 or something. That's a high amount of damage, so the opponent might be scared of you comboing. And it's only been like a week since he was released, but I'm already starting to feel like a lot of players are just gonna move away from this character. Because at the end of the day, I don't know who this character is for. This is not a Sagat for the old school guys. This is also not a Sagat, the new players joining this game. He has some really complicated stuff, he doesn't play easy. His execution is weird, sometimes too demanding, sometimes not that demanding at all. So he's clearly not a beginner character. But the game labels him as easy. I'm just very confused about this guy. I think he's overall fun for me, but I can totally see people just disliking this Sagat and just moving away to a more interesting character like Jamie or I don't know, JP. I don't think this is gonna be a successful character overall. And to be fair, even though I really like what they did to the character animation-wise, he has some really cool stuff. I think at the end of the day, I don't feel they respected the legacy of Sagat. He should be a poking character with a really strong fireball game, and right now he's just a weird character with strange pokes and a strange fireball game. So he doesn't appeal to anybody, and I think the Tiger Nexus is a cool idea on paper, but the execution sadly is not that interesting. Same with the Super Level 2. Having a Super Level 2 with so many variables is, again, a cool thing, but it doesn't add anything to what Sagat needs to do. So I'm just confused as anybody. This has been a long video. I'm gonna have to edit this to make it like 20 minutes. So I'm probably gonna cut a lot of stuff. If you ask me right now at this moment, this Monday 11th, the day I'm recording this, if I feel Sagat is a really strong character, I would say no, but he's no low tier. Like that's the only thing I can say at the moment. He's not low tier. As always, take care of yourselves, keep playing grapplers. I've been streaming Sangif and Sagat, of course. I'm gonna keep playing this guy, the big guy. We have a Discord somewhere. There's a link somewhere, so you can go to the Discord and just chat about fighting games and other stuff. Hydrate, take care of yourselves, keep playing grapplers, and I'm gonna be seeing you in the next video.